Well, hello. I was thinking it's probably just about time that I give you another writing update. It's been quite a while since I gave you a drafting update. I believe I had just started Project Songbird when I gave you that update, and now I have 2 chapters left, so I'm so excited. But I thought it was about time that I share another writing update and get you updated on my writing projects. So let's start with getting Project Songbird out of the way, because that is what I've been focusing on the most lately. I set myself a goal a couple weeks ago that I just had to finish this book by the end of October. I started in April. It usually doesn't take me this long to write a book, but vacations with the summer, it kind of gets crazy, and I've had so many other writing projects that I've been juggling. So, you can give yourself a little grace, but I also need to move on because I have another book that is actually getting traction and editors and agents really want to see it, and it needs to be revised, as in I need to really rewrite the whole 3rd act. Yeah. Okay, I'll get to that. Just give me a second. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So with Project Songbird, I really needed to finish this book. So I really wanted to go through my outline, see how much I needed to write. And once I actually mapped out, I only have this many more chapters, and I figured out how many more words that would be, and then how many words I need to write every one of my writing days through the end of October, it came out to 1,000 words. And I'm like, I can really achieve this. So that made me really excited. And then my last writing day, something extraordinary happened. I wrote a whole chapter, and it was a pretty momentous chapter. Everything was going great. And it was 5 o'clock. I usually try to wrap up around 6 because then we have dinner as a family. And I was like, okay, well, I can write a little bit more. I was gonna read a book for my critique group instead, but then I just had a little bit of inspiration. I'm like, okay, I'll just start the next chapter, and then I'll have a segue into it for my next writing time, and I'll already know what I'm doing, and the start will already be there. And then things just kept going. So I was like, okay, we'll write to a stopping point because there was going to be a scene break in a couple pages. I already knew that, and then we were going to have a really suspenseful moment. And I got to that scene break, and I'm like, I have it all. I have to write this. And so I just looked through my music, and I found the most intense soundtrack that I could find. And I just played one song on repeat this whole scene. And I ended up writing around 2,000 words in an hour. That never happens to me, so that was amazing. I don't know, I just got into a zone there. It was just the words came, and it was just one of those moments where it's like, I'm not hungry, I'm not eating dinner. I know, I'm sorry, I'll miss the family dinner, but I have to keep writing. So I ended up writing for a bit more time, and I finished that chapter, and it was just such a suspenseful scene, and it was the moment that the book started on. So that was the idea for the book. The original idea happened in this scene. So it's one of those moments when it's like, this scene has been with me since the beginning. I knew that was going to happen. That was kind of the pivotal moment when I wrote up the first concept, and it was so cool to actually write it. So that was super exciting. So currently, Project Songbird is clocking in at 71,514 words. Yeah, that's really specific. But now you know. So I have 2 chapters left. I went through my outline and I figured out what I have left to write, and there isn't that much, which is crazy. So Project Songbird is going amazing. I am so happy that I had that amazing writing day because it really gave me some adrenaline and some excitement to keep writing. I have had such a hard time writing this book, and that is really unusual for me because I'm a really fast drafter and I love the drafting phase. And I just was not in the zone for this book, which is ironic because I love these characters. The main character is amazing to write. She is just such a blast. So I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna blame it on summer was crazy and I didn't have a ton of writing time. We'll just say it was that. And I had other writing projects, so there was more things going on in my life than just this. So then the second thing that I wanted to update you on was the book that I pitched a ton at ACFW. So I actually had 2 more pitch appointments with the 2 agents who had their flights canceled, and I just had one of those yesterday. And so both of those ladies requested book proposals, which is so exciting. So I think that puts me at 10 book proposal or manuscript requests for this book. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I am so excited. It is just so amazing all the doors God has opened with this book. But that said, I got my edit letter for that in the beginning of August, and I have not started rewriting it yet. I've just been going through and reverse outlining, so that's basically just figuring out how I want to change things and bring in the editor's feedback. So I actually got on a call with her a couple weeks ago, and that was super helpful. So we talked through some details and figured out how I could make those changes, and then we actually brainstormed some different ideas, which was unbelievably helpful. So I came out feeling very excited, and I'm really not close to the story anymore. I mean, if I had been told to change this much a year ago, I would have been like, no, but it's my baby, I wanted this to happen, and now I'm just like, I don't care. Throw out the last half of the book, doesn't bother me. I'm very comfortable with this book, and I am just fine with throwing out half of it. Mostly because the editor gave some very valid reasons for why I needed to get rid of this ending, because it's not satisfactory, and it is not as redemptive as it could be. So, that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna throw that together, and I've been working on my reverse outline for that. I was just given the go-ahead to start rewriting it by Joanne Bischoff, so she told me that it's looking good, it's pretty solid. She didn't have any more feedback. She thought I could probably start rewriting it, which I'm excited about because I really want to start doing that, and I really want to get that out to agents and editors before it's too late. But I also really wanted to finish Project Songbird before I start reading that, because those two sets of characters are vastly different. As in, they're, vastly different. That's a great definition for it. They're extremely different. So I didn't really want to have to dual write those. It was just going to be way too complicated and just rack my brain. So I am finishing Project Songbird in the next few days, and then I'm going to start revisions on that other book. But I'm really excited with how it's been turning out. I'm really excited with the reverse outline. There were some special Easter eggs that got thrown in as random ideas that are just going to be really neat to tie all the POVs together and tie the timelines together. One thing that was really exciting for me, that's a lot of the editors and agents have said, was just the timeline with it is just so unique, and I'm not going to say what it is. You'll see when the book comes out if that ever happens. So I'm just really excited to start the revisions for that and just get moving. So those are basically all the writing updates that I have. I'm also supposed to be drafting a short story or coming up with an idea for that, but I keep coming up with ideas that are not my genre. So I feel like whenever I'm supposed to be coming up with an idea, I come up with dystopian ideas or contemporary romances or like things that are totally outside of my genre, which I am going to write one of these days. I am going to write a killer dystopian, and I have two really awesome ideas that are not tied together. So these are going to be separate things, but they're just really cool ideas. And then I have a really awesome contemporary book that is in the back of my brain that I actually pitched to one of the agents at ACFW. She was asking if I had written in any other genres, and it's a very undeveloped story. Very, very undeveloped, and she was asking about other things, and I'm like, well, I have this other idea, and so I pitched it to her very badly, and she was like, you need to write that book, that is so cool, and I'm like, okay, well, that will happen someday. So I just keep having ideas that are not historical, and it's so important that they're actually historical because this is going in an anthology, and it's kind of going to be my first published work, so I really want it to be in my genre and show what I write and the style that I write with the themes that I tend to write. I don't know, I think just that thought process is putting a lot of pressure on me, which is probably not good. So I just need to think of an idea, which is just a lot easier said than done. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to stay tuned for more writing updates and more writing tips, I have some author interviews coming up. So make sure to click the subscribe and follow along for more videos. I hope to see you again next week. So with we're not saying its name, haha. So currently, Project Songbird is clocking in at 71 and a half words. 71 and a half words. That's not very many people. The second thing that I wanted to up you. So then the second thing I wanted to I can't talk.